There I was, somewhere above the clouds, thousands of feet in the air, suspended between earth and heaven. And in that fragile silence, something happened that pierced through every layer of my being. It wasn't turbulence, it wasn't the view from the window, it was something far more powerful. A single smile, not the kind of smile you politely exchange with strangers, not the kind that hides behind masks of routine or duty. No, this smile was pure, innocent, untouched by the weight of the world, a smile that carried light into every shadow of my soul. In that moment, time slowed. The engines still roared, people still shuffled in their seats, but I felt none of it. Because that smile reminded me of something I had forgotten, something we all forget in the race of life. The beauty of simplicity, the sacredness of joy, the miracle of being alive. It wasn't just a smile, it was a mirror, a reflection of everything I once longed for but had buried under responsibilities, fears, and the endless chase of more. And here's the truth, we don't need to chase life's greatest treasures. They often sit quietly in front of us, waiting to be noticed, waiting for us to wake up. That single moment above the clouds whispered to me, gratitude is not found in possessions, peace is not found in achievements, joy is not found in the noise of applause, it is found in stillness, in presence, in the simplest of expressions that remind us we are human, that we are love, that we are enough. And as the flight continued, I realized something unforgettable. Sometimes, the universe sends us the most profound reminders in the most ordinary places. There I was, seated in that narrow airplane seat, staring out of the small oval window, and for a moment it felt as though the world itself had shifted. Above the clouds, the view takes on a dimension that cannot be described by words alone. The earth falls away, the noise of the ground vanishes, and suddenly you find yourself in a realm where time bends and perspective changes. The ordinary no longer feels ordinary, and the smallest detail becomes monumental. At that height, suspended between where we've been and where we're going, something inside us awakens. It is as though being so far removed from the ground removes, too, the layers of weight we've carried, the invisible burdens no one sees but we drag endlessly through our days. Up there, nothing feels quite the same. The clouds stretch like a vast ocean of white, endless and soft, whispering a quiet reminder that the world is larger, more expansive, than our minds dare to comprehend. The light filters differently, piercing through in golden shards or soft silver hues, and for a brief instant, you feel as though you are watching creation itself unfold. The roar of the engines becomes a distant hum, not an intrusion but a steady reminder of motion, of forward momentum, of life itself carrying you to another chapter. But the setting is only half of it. Being above the clouds isn't just a physical shift, it is an emotional mirror. You begin to see yourself differently, as if looking down on the world gives you permission to look within. You realize how small your problems appear from this vantage point, how trivial the battles you've fought seem compared to the vastness stretching endlessly beneath you. Perspective sharpens. Priorities reorder themselves. You remember things you had forgotten in the chaos of daily survival. You breathe differently, not because the air is purer, but because your spirit loosens its grip on fear, even if only for a moment. And yet, even in the immensity of that sky, the most powerful thing was not the beauty of nature, or the grandeur of being suspended between heaven and earth. It was the awareness that something so delicate, so fragile, could reach deeper than all of that majesty combined. The external world was breathtaking, yes, but it was only a stage, a canvas for a moment that went far beyond what the eye could capture. Above the clouds, every distraction faded away, every worry lost its teeth, and the heart became vulnerable enough to be touched. It is in these rare environments, when we are pulled out of the ordinary and thrust into the extraordinary, that the soul opens to receive what it might otherwise ignore. High above the noise of cities, above the weight of responsibilities, there is a purity that lingers in the silence, and it is there, in that silence, that life has the power to deliver its most unforgettable reminders. It was not just a smile, it was a burst of light breaking through every shadow I didn't even know I was still carrying. The kind of light that doesn't blind but heals, that doesn't demand attention but quietly demands your surrender. It wasn't forced, not the kind of grin that people wear to play along with the world. It was unguarded, pure, untouched by expectation, free of calculation. And in that freedom, it became more than just an expression. It became a language, a message written without words, yet one that spoke louder than anything I had heard in a long time. The world is full of smiles, but most of them are rehearsed, crafted for social approval, polished to hide pain, or simply automatic responses to fill the silence. This one was different. It carried no agenda. It had no mask. It radiated something that can't be manufactured: innocence. A clarity untouched by the dust of disappointment, unpolluted by the bitterness that adulthood sprinkles across the years. That smile was a window into something sacred, the kind of joy that has no reason other than the fact that life, at that very second, was enough. In that single moment, the smile seemed to cut through the artificial layers of the cabin, the rigid seats, the metallic hum, the chatter and shuffling of strangers, and it created a space that was profoundly personal. A smile so unassuming yet so complete, it silenced everything around it. It made me realize how much power exists in simplicity. How something so small, a curve of the lips and a light in the eyes, could hold more truth than speeches, more strength than accomplishments, more freedom than anything money could buy. It was not the smile of someone trying to impress. It was not laced with irony or hesitation. It was pure presence. And in that presence, I felt something awaken in me that had been dormant for far too long. Memories of times when I, too, smiled that way, without caution, without self-awareness, without the heaviness of expectations pressing down. It reminded me of what it means to be alive without calculation, to simply exist in the honesty of the moment. The light within that smile reached further than the surface. It traveled inward, igniting forgotten corners of the heart. It illuminated shadows I had carried unknowingly, softening them, dissolving them. It was as if, in that instant, the world had conspired to remind me of the essence of joy, that it is not something to be earned, not something to be chased, but something to be remembered. That smile held the power of truth, a truth we all once knew and somehow misplaced on our way to becoming who we thought we had to be. And as I sat there, watching, absorbing, I realized this. The light of a smile like that doesn't just brighten the face it rests upon. It transforms the one who receives it. It teaches without teaching. It heals without trying. It becomes a bridge back to the part of ourselves we thought was lost forever. Time has a way of moving relentlessly, ticking forward without pause, dragging us along whether we're ready or not. Most of the time, we don't even notice it passing. We bury ourselves in schedules, distractions, worries, and routines until the days blur into one another. But then there are rare moments when everything slows, when the clock seems to loosen its grip, and you are given the gift of truly being present. That moment on the flight was exactly that. The world around me was still in motion, engines roaring, attendants moving through aisles, passengers adjusting their seats. But inside, something shifted. The rush of time fell silent. All that remained was stillness, and in that stillness, a simple smile became eternal. It wasn't as though the world had literally stopped. It was that my awareness had finally caught up to what was in front of me. I was no longer racing ahead into thoughts of tomorrow, no longer trapped in the unfinished business of yesterday. For once, my mind, my heart, and my spirit were all in the same place at the same time. That alignment made a fraction of a second feel like an entire lifetime. The smile stretched out across that suspended moment, glowing brighter than the fluorescent lights above, louder than the metal giant carrying us across the sky. In that slowed reality, I noticed details I might otherwise have missed. The softness of the expression, the way the eyes seemed to carry laughter without a sound, the effortless grace in something so small yet so powerful. It struck me then how much we miss because we are always rushing, always measuring life by calendars and deadlines, always running toward a destination that keeps moving just out of reach. But in slowing down, even if only for an instant, the world reveals its hidden treasures. There is something sacred about those moments when time bends. They act as mirrors, showing us truths that we could never see while moving at full speed. They strip away the noise and the clutter and lay bare what really matters. In that cabin high above the clouds, I wasn't thinking about emails left unanswered or the tasks awaiting me on the ground. None of it mattered. What mattered was the clarity of a single human expression and the way it spoke to me, as though it had been sent to remind me of everything I had forgotten. When time slows, so does the heart. Its frantic beating settles into rhythm, its desperate search for meaning softens into quiet acceptance. That smile became more than just a fleeting expression. It became an anchor, holding me steady in the present moment. It reminded me that the most profound experiences in life are not stretched across years, but condensed into fragments of presence, fragments that feel infinite when we allow ourselves to truly see them. In that suspended pause, I understood that eternity can hide inside a second, and a second can hold enough light to change everything. It's strange how something so simple can serve as a mirror, yet that is exactly what it felt like. A smile, gentle, effortless, unguarded. Reflecting back parts of myself I hadn't touched in years. It wasn't just about observing joy on another face, it was about confronting what that joy revealed within me. The innocence in it was like a lens, showing me how far I had drifted from the simplicity I once carried so naturally. It reminded me of who I used to be before life became tangled with responsibilities, expectations, and the unending pursuit of more. That smile was not just a moment. It was a reflection, a window into the forgotten corners of my soul. I saw the younger version of myself, unburdened and unafraid, someone who could laugh without hesitation, someone who found wonder in the smallest things. That reflection made me realize how easily adulthood buries us under layers of caution and calculation. We trade curiosity for certainty, playfulness for productivity, and somewhere along the line, we stop smiling that way. Without reason, without fear, without pretense. The mirror that smile held up showed me how much I had lost in the race to build a life that looked complete on the outside, but often felt incomplete within. And yet, there was no bitterness in that realization. Instead, there was a kind of quiet awakening. The mirror wasn't scolding me, it was inviting me back. It was whispering, "This is still inside you. This light has not gone out. You've just stopped looking for it." That truth cut deeper than I expected because it exposed how much of my present was built on forgetting. Forgetting that simplicity holds power. Forgetting that joy does not require permission. Forgetting that the essence of who we are doesn't vanish. It only hides until we are brave enough to see it again. The mirror didn't just show me what I had forgotten, it showed me what I secretly still longed for. A return to ease. A return to authenticity. A return to a life where joy was not scheduled or earned, but simply lived. That smile reflected not only the innocence of another, but also the ache in me for the same purity. It revealed how the soul hungers for unfiltered moments, for a chance to shed the masks we wear every day and step back into the honesty of simply being. In that reflection, I realized something powerful. Sometimes the world places mirrors in front of us, not to show us who we are at this moment, but to remind us of who we were before the world changed us. And the greatest gift is that those parts of ourselves are not gone. They are waiting, patiently, for us to notice them again. That single smile became the most profound mirror I had ever encountered, not because it revealed someone else's truth, but because it reflected my own. We spend so much of our lives chasing, running after the idea that joy will finally arrive when certain boxes are checked: the right job, the right house, the recognition we crave, the possessions we believe will make us whole. And yet, when those things come, they never quite fill the space we thought they would. The applause fades. The newness of the purchase wears off. The achievement that once seemed monumental is quickly replaced by the next milestone. It's an endless climb with no summit in sight. But in that moment on the flight, watching that smile, I realized something my soul had been aching to remember. Life's true treasures are not found in what we acquire or accomplish, but in what we notice, in what we allow ourselves to feel in the present moment. Gratitude is not born from abundance, it is born from awareness. You can have everything and still feel empty, or you can have nothing and feel as though you are holding the universe in your hands. That smile carried with it a purity that no possession could replicate, no status could purchase, no success could guarantee. It was joy in its rawest form, stripped of context or condition. It reminded me that the treasures of life are not trophies to be displayed, but experiences that awaken something deeper inside of us. Peace is the same. We think it comes with stability, with finally arriving at some version of control where nothing can shake us. But peace has nothing to do with control. Peace is surrender. It is learning to breathe even in turbulence, learning to rest even when life feels uncertain. That moment above the clouds was not peaceful because the flight was smooth or the cabin was quiet. It was peaceful because I was present enough to notice what truly mattered. And when you notice, when you allow your heart to be touched by something as simple as a smile, peace comes uninvited, slipping in quietly and filling the space you didn't even realize was empty. And then there is joy, the most elusive of all. We are taught to hunt for it, to build it, to chase it as if it lives somewhere outside of us. But joy is not earned. Joy is not a reward for effort. Joy is a current always flowing within us, waiting to be acknowledged. That smile reminded me of this truth. It showed me that joy is not loud or complicated. It does not demand fireworks or celebrations. It can be as small as a shared glance, as fleeting as a moment in time, and still be infinite in its impact. The treasures of life are not found in the noise of applause or the glitter of success. They are tucked into the stillness, woven into the everyday, waiting quietly to be seen. And when you see them, when you truly see them, you realize they were never missing. You were. It is easy to believe that the extraordinary must always be grand, that life's deepest lessons are delivered with lightning bolts, dramatic events, or earth-shaking revelations. But the truth is far quieter. The universe rarely shouts. More often, it whispers, and those whispers come wrapped in ordinary moments, moments so subtle that we are tempted to dismiss them as nothing at all. Yet within those fragments of the everyday lies the divine, the eternal reminders that life's meaning is not hidden in rare occasions but in the simple, overlooked spaces where our attention almost never lingers. On that flight, nothing spectacular was happening by the world's standards. No announcement of destiny, no life-altering event, no spotlight shining on the scene, just a cabin filled with people, each lost in their own thoughts, routines, or distractions. And yet, within that ordinary setting, something sacred unfolded. A smile, nothing more, nothing less, rose to the surface, and with it came a wave of realization powerful enough to shift an entire perspective. That is how the universe works. It hides its greatest gifts in plain sight, testing whether we are awake enough to notice. Most of us miss these treasures because we are too busy searching for something louder, something bigger, something that looks like the answers we imagined. We expect miracles to come dressed in grandeur, but the most life-changing miracles often come disguised as the mundane, a kind word at the right time, the silence between heartbeats, the way light spills across a room at dawn, the gentle reminder that you are still alive, still here, still capable of feeling wonder. The sacred does not need to announce itself, it waits for your recognition. That smile in the cabin carried no fanfare, no introduction, no explanation. But it revealed a truth more profound than any grand event could have delivered. Joy does not require spectacle. Peace does not demand ceremony. Gratitude does not come from things that dazzle the senses. They come from the ordinary, and when we allow ourselves to see the ordinary as divine, everything changes. The universe is constantly offering us these quiet reminders, but only those who are willing to pause, to pay attention, to breathe in the moment, will ever receive them. The irony is that we keep chasing the extraordinary when the extraordinary is already around us, waiting to be seen through new eyes. The divine is not somewhere far away, locked in temples or hidden in rare destinations. It is here, now, in the overlooked and underestimated corners of our daily lives. A glance, a laugh, a smile. These are the sacred messengers, the ordinary vessels carrying eternal truths. And once you awaken to that reality, you begin to realize that the extraordinary was never meant to be found elsewhere. It was always hidden inside the ordinary, waiting for you to notice. And so, high above the clouds, in the quiet of an ordinary flight, I was reminded of an eternal truth. Life does not always reveal its treasures in grand gestures or monumental victories. Sometimes it chooses the smallest of moments, the simplest of expressions, to remind us who we really are and what we are here to feel. A single smile became a teacher, a mirror, a light cutting through the noise of the world. It showed me that joy is not something to be earned, gratitude is not something to be chased, and peace is not something to be constructed. It is already here, waiting, hidden inside the ordinary. So I leave you with this: never underestimate the quiet moments, never dismiss the simple gestures, never overlook the beauty that hides in plain sight. For it may be in those very moments that your soul is touched, your heart is awakened, and your life is changed forever. Thank you for walking this journey with me today. Thank you for opening your heart to these words, for daring to feel deeply, for remembering what perhaps you too had forgotten. Until we meet again, stay present, stay awake, and never stop searching for the extraordinary hidden inside the ordinary. Goodbye, and thank you.